I wanted to talk about the colors I'm using today. The Indian yellow hue, ultramarine blue, titanium white. Okay, this is barely dry, not totally dry. So now while the clouds, the canvas, I'm going to take some white and I'm going to just decide where to put my clouds. These are going to be big, cumulus, fluffy clouds. I want to make them somewhat random because these clouds have all different shapes, which makes them fun to look at and interesting. But they also have physical qualities, which is they're airy and some are transparent in certain areas. And as I'm looking up, I see these big clouds just right up above, right there. And as I look toward the horizon line, which would maybe be down here, or maybe low because I don't really care about looking at the horizon or the ground, I want to look at the clouds. They get smaller. Still a big one up there. And now as they get lower, they get a little bit smaller. Slightly smaller. And this is much smaller down here. So you can't even see where they stop and start. Now this is all still wet. I'm going to take a smaller brush, this number 8, filbert. See, it's got a rounded edge. And I'm going to take a lot of this golden gloss medium, a lot of it, because I'm going to put a little bit of ultramarine in. Ultramarine tends to be opaque. But the way I'm using this ultramarine, it's going to be transparent because I've got lots of medium in it. I can put any amount, up to 99%. There we go. It's just going to make it very light. And now I start in here with, notice how I hold my brush. When you're holding your paintbrush, it helps to lay it flat, put your hand on top of it, like this. Whoop, see, my hand is on top of it. So it's very loose, super loose. I can keep it still by raising my 3 fingers to give it some balance when I want a straight line, or I can make puffy, beautiful clouds in a beautiful sky, very loosely. And I can twist my brush like this. See? I have total control over this brush when my hand is on top of it. It just helps. Now that's probably not quite enough paint, so I'm going to put some more in there. Let's just fill in and kind of blend where these clouds are. I'm actually going to use this brush. I'm just sticking with this brush right here. It's a little bit wet. Yeah. That's more what I want. Super loose. Hand on top. Where I'm in control. And I let this blend just slightly into the wet yellow and the white on the edges of the clouds. Very light, more medium to keep it really, really, really light in here. Now I'm not worried about mixing the white with the blue. I think that's quite okay. Because the white is still a little wet, but mainly I'm not covering up where I lay my clouds in. But if I paint over them a little bit, I don't mind. One thing I'm not doing is this. You don't see me doing this. Look what happens. When you do that, when you paint like this, back and forth, it puts the paint on where you want it to go, and then you move it back the other way. So I like to be more deliberate with my brush strokes. So I'm looking at where the paint is moving, and I'm actually moving the paint with my brush. I'm not trying to color in lines that I've already put on the painting like a coloring book. I want to paint this picture. I want it to have the feeling of these big happy clouds, big puffy sheep-like clouds. So you notice I'm just moving the paint until it gets where I want it to be. And if I barely lift my brush like this, just barely touch the canvas, it gets it really nice and smooth. But I don't want it too smooth. So I keep going with this, and this is what I end up with. It's very, very pale. And I went in with a little tiny bit of the medium with the diarylide yellow. Actually, lots of medium, a little diarylide yellow, but that's transparent anyway. And I just suggested where the bottoms of the clouds were, like the light was streaking through. And not on every cloud either, just some of the clouds. More medium and a tiny bit of quinacridone red. Probably 1 part quinacridone red to 15 parts medium. See, that's not quite light enough. Here we go. Now I want a dry, wide brush. Silver Jumbo. This is an awesome brush. This is a dandy of a brush. And now it's completely dry. Just going to kind of tamp some of those marks, some of those brush strokes out. Just make it a little more cloud-like and soft. Now I take the brush and I dip it into the white. Look at this. You see this? Now I'm going to dry brush. I take the part of the brush that has not much paint on it, and I put a lot of that heavy body white in there, especially big ones at the top. Always letting some of the underneath show through. These clouds are small. To make my bright fluffy clouds, I have this number 40 Silver Jumbo 8000 series round. I like to hold it like this because this way you have control. You want to have maximum flexibility with your brush. Like this, I can turn it in my fingers. I can move my wrist. I can't do that when I hold my brush like this. It just wants to go where it wants to go. So this way I control it. Hand on top, I'm in charge, and I usually hold it slightly from the middle back. From the middle back. This is a great brush for making clouds. I'm going to add some more golden gloss medium. You can get the matte medium. Polymer medium. You can't add too much. It makes your color more transparent, and it really helps with adhesion of the paint. So now, I'm getting a little bit darker up here in some places. You see how I can move my brush? Maximum flexibility with this brush like this. Tap. I like the brush strokes to show. If you don't want your brush strokes showing, then you can use a softer brush to tamp it down, like that. Smooths it out. But for me, I like the brush strokes. To me, it looks like real painting when you have some brush strokes in there. Now you'll see, as I get toward the bottom, toward the bottom of the canvas or toward the horizon line, my blues become lighter. Since you can't see a horizon line in this painting, then that's okay, but just remember, it gives it a nice atmospheric perspective when you get a little bit lighter as you go toward the horizon line, toward the ground. Some of that yellow that I put on the ground is still showing through, which is nice. Gives it kind of a light, reflecting light effect. And now, I'll put some more clouds in it to fluff them up. Little wispy clouds at the bottom. And there we go. There's my bright, happy, sunny, puffy cloud painting.